Hey everybody, this is Lauren deLisa Coleman for the Inside series right here at film.io. I am proud to be able to bring you our next interview. We're doing a bunch of these, as you know, during the Sundance Film Festival, and I am very, very excited to welcome both Doménica Castro and Constanza Castro, a sister duo making kind of filmmaking extravaganza, who are going to talk to us about the film that they have created called We Are Here. And you guys, first of all, thanks for taking out the time to join us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us, by the way.
You're welcome.
And lovely to meet you. So our film is an animated short documentary about the experience of 4 immigrants under the age of 30. And it gives a portrait of what it's like to walk this land in their shoes. So in a very small amount of time, our film's 90 minutes long, you get to really get fragments of their lives and really understand their lives a little bit better.
And tell us where the immigrants are from, as I know, but our viewers don't. So where are they from?
I don't know that it matters where they're from. We kind of didn't necessarily say that in the film because we wanted, it's not about where they're from and where they come from. It's such a universal immigrant perspective that we don't want to say because we want everybody to just experience
more ambiguous,
with an open mind. Yeah,
right. That's what I wanted you to be able to say that because I think people will think because you're women of color, they obviously must be reflective of, your either your culture or your understanding or whatever, and that's not necessarily the case, which is kind of cool.
Just to kind of go back to that, we are Mexican sisters born in Mexico City, immigrated to the United States as children. Yep. This film is dear to our heart, to our experience, to what we've seen firsthand, and we just shine a light on a different perspective. So it does have to do with our journey as well.
Yeah. I figured as much, but like I said, I love how you also have the ambiguity about it too, so that you can just kind of relate in general, right? Tell me how you guys came to this story. I mean, as we just said, this is part of your own personal journey, but why did you decide to kind of delve into this as filmmakers, and especially, this kind of demographic? I think that we have, of course, seen horror after horror, maybe about children, or maybe those who are older and struggling in this kind of position. But I think under 30s is just a very unique kind of spot, right? Because you're learning about yourself really as an adult, and kind of confronted with this specific set of circumstances in one's life as an immigrant. So obviously that's a lot to explore, but what made you guys decide to actually, kind of really create a full-on project around it and chose animation as well? I'm curious about that.
For sure. I think for us, we are in our 30s now and having immigrated so young, we've, like Constanza said, understand sort of how that path and that journey happens. And being aware of sort of the compared journeys of our friends who were American citizens at the time that we were not, gave us a sense of desire to tell the story of how difficult it is to become an adult as an immigrant, as an adult, as everybody else sort of becomes an adult, because of maybe the limitations of work or the limitations of, resources, etc. So it's a story that really came about from also a place of, I would say, pain. I feel like the past couple of years really stirred a lot of things for us as immigrants. And it birthed from wanting to sort of just paint a new picture of really what an immigrant sounds like and what an immigrant is and what an immigrant dreams about.
Right.
And so through these shapes and colors and music and voice, we convey a message that we think can help us approach the conversation of immigration in a more holistic manner.
And a contemporary manner, I think, too, because sometimes just the word immigrant is just, it just seems sometimes to be so old school, right? And it's not the same as maybe in the 30s as it was, as it is today, or from, different countries or different reasons. So to continue to put kind of different perspectives out there is really important, right? Talk to me about doing this, though, as sisters. You obviously must get along, right? If you can work together and all that. Is this something that kind of evolved naturally, or have you guys always, since you were, young, like, played blocks together, like Play-Doh, whatever, and they were just as, like, evolved into this, fabulous filmmaking duo? How's it kind of, what's the backstory of that?
Yeah, we've always been a super close family, and we have a younger brother, but Constanza and I are closer in age, and being that we're women and sort of, in
the film
industry and all of that. But even before, like when we were kids, we've always supported each other's like dreams and what, we've always believed in each other. And lucky for us, we sort of wanted to take the same path. Mm-hmm. We're only a year and a half apart. I'm younger. So I only say that because I feel like maybe in so many ways I was inspired by her as my older sister, and we sort of just took a journey together, and we're still on this journey together. And
we've been producing for the past 7 years together, and this actually was our directorial debut. We had never approached a story as co-directors, and so we know we've been working together since we were children, partners in crime since, all of our life. And I think we're just so lucky to be able to, like Dom is saying, is just being able to join our paths in this career, in this industry, and just share. We are each, everybody's like, you guys are the same. I'm like, no, we're actually very different. We're sisters. We have the same values. We have the same, kind of goals as to the kind of stories that we want to tell and shine a light off. But it's really refreshing when we talk about a story that like we both have gone through together and see her perspective and how different it was from my perspective. And I think in that, that difference, even just as sisters, can bring us to even a more universal approach into our storytelling and the kind of work that we put out.
Talk to me a little bit about the technical approach to this film and why you selected this and some of the hurdles that you had to get over or through.
Yeah, we shot the entire film remotely. So the film was put together like 100% remotely. Never were we in the same room with any of our collaborators except for Doménica and I being together in a room. I think we had never done that before. We had never approached animation. We were working on a commercial, so all of our free time, we're producing a big commercial that was taking us through the United States, and every single free time was just put into this film. Cecilia Reeve, our artist animator, was in the UK. Valeria was one of our voices. She was in Italy. We were in the East Coast working. Salvador Perez Garcia, our editor, and Jesse Nelson, our composer, were in LA. So I think just managing the time zones was maybe the most challenging part of it, but I think that what made it easy was that we all shared a love and passion to telling this story, and that even those challenges of not being together, not being in a room, can be surpassed and still create some meaningful work. No?
Interesting. Yeah. And did you have any specific, specific tools or like strategy to be able to manage? I mean, there's only but so much you can do with different time zones, but I mean, did you like give the nighttime people, like sometimes they got a break, or the daytime people, sometimes people either had to get up early, or, when I'm doing interviews in Asia, like, sometimes we'll split the difference. So like, okay, I'll stay up late and then they'll, it'll be their time, or, sometimes it's vice versa.
I mean, we were able to make this film in a time where remote is like available. And we'd been a little bit into pandemic, and so that seemed to be the way forward. And so Zoom was a tool that we definitely used, and that we relied heavily on. to interact and sort of create that being in the room together while being apart. But in terms of managing time zones, I think we were so lucky to have a team of super committed artists to join the journey. We had a deadline. We knew we had to like finish by a certain time. Obviously the funds don't, run forever. And so there was a mission to accomplish in a certain amount of time, and everybody's heart was in it. And so it was like, that really made it easy. And I think we were just in like this constant dialogue of creating something together and making something beautiful and making sort of justice to the stories that were shared with us, and making those voices proud of what we thought we could put together in honor of their truth. And so I feel like that sort of, it all sort of just tied in together in a really, really beautiful way. And the animation, it's hand-drawn animation. So every frame was hand-drawn and then put into Photoshop and Adobe Photoshop, and then After Effects. And our animator is the best person to speak about the technical aspect. But we just worked together. Our editor went through, transcribed all of the stories, and we sort of started to piece them together, see how they tied in. At one point we had like a 30-minute piece, and we knew we had to cut it down, and we wanted to find sort of like the similarities in all of their stories, but like how one connected to the next, and sort of gave us a journey that covered a really good portrait of this experience.
And I think technology was our best friend. And, while we only relied on technology to be able to make the film, it's kind of cool that like we were able to tell a film that is so human, and that I think we relied on technology to help us make it, we were also aware that we wanted to make sure that the humanity was coming out. So Cecilia was hand drawing. So the music, we were like, how do we make it like not sound like sound as less computer generated as possible. And so I think that was like a good challenge that we were able to manage in terms of using technology to still, and then kind of like strip that off to be able to just feel.
And even with Jesse, our composer, we're like, we don't want the notes to be so defined. It's like, how can we make music with like sounds? How can we make it abstract? So we were all figuring out how to make this be so abstract that at the end of the day you couldn't help but sort of see the humans behind it.
Like, we never wanted anything to be perfect. It's like, I don't want anything perfect.
But it really.
So what do you guys hope that people who see the film, what do they take away from it? What would be your best hope for that?
I think we hope that it awakens the ability to see humans behind labels.
Nice.
Beyond citizenship, beyond immigration status, and that it creates empathy. And our ultimate dream and goal is that this gets to the people who hold power to perhaps change the way that this particular subject matter is approached.
Okay. So have you guys been to Sundance before? Like, physically?
We have
many times.
We're really hoping. This was the first time we were going with.
You said you have not. Okay. So this would have been the first time.
With a film. Yeah. Because we've been a ton with like friends who've had films, but we hadn't been with a film of our own. And this year we had 2 films in the festival. And so we're still so honored and excited to be a part of it, and to be in it with all the stories that are being shared.
Yep.
And experiencing it in this new way.
Prepping the couch and the viewing experience from home to keep everybody safe, still be able to enjoy.
So you can have like some fake snow around and pretend that you're still out in Park City. I guess finally, why? Oh, go ahead.
No, No, I was just thinking, I keep thinking, like, how do we make it so cold that we can, like, wear, like, snow gear?
You don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to. Like, at first, it's like, oh, this is so cute and it's so fun and it's so perfect. And then by, like, day 3, you're like, I'm tired of snow, like, just being snowed on. Like, how is it just, like, no. But it's still, really quite beautiful and fun. Why do you guys think that Sundance Film Festival is so important and has actually maintained its importance and I guess grown in its importance and its standing to 2022? It's really like just amazing.
They discover voices. They discover new stories, new ways to tell stories.
They're brave. I think, I've only been, I think Sundance has been around longer than I have been, but it has revolutionized cinema. Like when you actually think about the history of cinema and American cinema and international cinema, I think that they have been such an important platform of showing stories that normally wouldn't have been seen otherwise, and to be daring and brave. I think brave might be the actual right word, to shine a light onto stories that otherwise might not have been. So I think they have been also able to shape our industry and shape the path into the stories that we're able to tell and see.
They have good instinct.
Yes.
For new narratives.
Yep. Definitely. So do you guys have anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up? And of course, how do we follow you and see like what the next fabulous project is going to be and all that? Like, what's your preferred, like, digital weapon of choice? Website, social media feed, or, some people are very chill, but it's very rare that a filmmaker has no digital footprint. So what's the story?
I love Instagram, personally. I feel like, hit me up on Instagram. I love to meet friends and connect. Cecilia Reeve, actually, our animator, I was like digging through I just hashtag like animation, and somehow going through the hashtags, I found her work. So I've always been able to, I've made friends that I've never met for like 10 years that we met through Instagram. Like, it's kind of insane that I don't know. I think it's a fun tool. I think photos and sharing, like, what you like, what you eat, what you do, kind of like shines a light into like somebody's life in a very kind of like intimate, still voyeuristic way. So I think Instagram would be the best.
And what's your handle?
My handle is Constanza Castro.
Okay, so your exact name. All right. And what about you, Doménica?
I'm on Instagram as well. And mine is, I don't know my handle.
I know your handle. It's Doménica. So her name, Doménica, with an extra A at the end and an H. So Doménica, A-H.
Yeah,
okay.
That's it.
But wait, I love how your sister knows your handle better than you do. And that's why you guys are the killer duo, right? Because I kind of feel like Costanza's like, what? And then, Domenica's more like, okay, let's see how, maybe more analytical. I don't know. But it seems like the two together, it's like, okay, the ideal human being. I don't know, but it seems like it.
That's so nice. We have a production company, and it's called 271 Films. You can also follow that handle.
Great. Yes, and it's 271 like spelled out numerically, you guys, just so you know. Right. Okay. So anything else that you want to add? Because you guys are really no joke. I think you've been a little bit humble, but you've had like commercial work and others like, Vice, MTV. I wrote down some so I don't forget, Ad Week, etc. So, like, you're very chill about it, but you have like a lot of wonderful expertise, and it's just great to see you doing your thing.
Thank you so much. And enjoy the festival.
Yeah.
I hope people watch the movies, all the movies. And if you happen to stop by, we are here. We'd love for you to experience it.
That is a great
I want to give a shout out to our other film, which we executive produced, which is Huella by Gabriela Ortega.
I'm definitely interviewing. Don't worry. That is on my list of 8 million interviews that we're doing. So yes. Yes. Don't worry. We'll get it time.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys
Thank you
for
so
taking
much.
out the time. You guys, thanks for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this interview. You know, as I just said, bringing you more way and so many more. But, you know, stay tuned right here. Don't go anywhere. Click the next one right over. I am Lauren deLisa Coleman for the Inside series at film.io.